what is opposite of resurrection? Death is opposite of resurrection. And what is opposite of life? Death is opposite of life. And today Jesus, who declares himself the resurrection and the life, has to deal exactly with his enemy, death. And so he's on a mission. He needs to bring himself, the resurrection and the life, exactly there where there is death. And obviously, he's going to encounter some obstacles. You know, as he's with his disciples, the disciples said, "Why, Jesus, do you want to go back to Judea? They're trying to kill you." Say, "Are you out of your mind? Don't do it." When Jesus encountered Martha and Mary after Martha, they both said, "If you had been here, my brother would not have died." Basically saying, "Jesus, where have you been? We've sent words to you. You should have known by before a few days that my brother was sick, was ill, and you could have done something." People, when they see those who are friends with Martha and Mary and came to console them, when they saw him there, they said, "Is he not the guy who made a blind man see? Something unheard of before. Couldn't he have not come before and do something for this man? So where have you been, Jesus? We were in need. You could have done something. Where were you?" And finally, again, Martha, in front of the tomb, when he asks, "Remove the stone," said, "Lord, it stinks. Don't do it. It's no sense." As it is for Jesus, sometimes it is for us as well, that we find obstacles to fulfill our mission, to bring our mission to completion. But there's one very thing that it's important that I think catches everybody's attention if we reflect upon it. Jesus weeps. Jesus shed tears in front of so much suffering and death and sadness that he sees. In the Gospel of John, we don't read that Jesus is weeping during the agony, during the Last Supper, as he's carrying the cross up to Calvary. But for some reason, for John, it was important to say that he wept when he saw his friend, the one he loved, Lazarus, dead, and all those people around him. I think I was about 3 or 4. I cannot remember. I remember I was very little. You know, there's a stage we all go through when we are one with our mothers. There's mom, and you are maybe 2, 3, or 4, and you are basically attached to your mom, and you're one with your mom. Moms cannot do anything apart from their kids because they always need to drag their kids around. I remember one evening we were at Mass, and I spent the whole Mass crying, weeping, and shedding tears because I realized that my mom was not immortal, that my mom one day will die. And I was in shock, and I was so distraught. And she tried to console me the best she could. And, you know, it's not happening. I'm here with you. I love you. Nothing's going to be bad for you. And I remember her trying to explain to the people next to her in the pew, "Yeah, I just found out that I'm going to die one day." And it's just so unconsolable. You know, for a young kid that's so much in love with his mother, was hard. You know, in front of people's tears, our heart goes out to them. You know, when love encounters suffering, love becomes more like mercy. And there's an emotional reactions we have with people who are crying in front of us. Despite maybe the uncomfortness, the discomfort we have, our heart goes out to them. We want to console them. We want to say something. No, maybe we try to laugh it off. Maybe we try to joke. Maybe we talk trash, or trash talk, the one that put you in that spot. Or we try to say a few words to try to console the person who's sad. But definitely, the greater the suffering we see, the greater is our compassion. You know, think about if you look at a documentary and you see kids in Africa starving. Like you're sad, your heart goes out to them. Say, they're suffering, I'm compassionate. And that brings you more compassion than seeing maybe a chubby kid at McDonald's that has a Big Mac and the Big Mac falls. Like you see, a poor kid is not going to have lunch maybe today, but you're not as sorry because you compare different suffering and say, the greater the suffering, the greater is my compassion. But there's also another thing that goes with compassion is that the love we feel for the people who are hurting. And so if that chubby kid is actually your kid, your heart goes out to him. No, the more you love somebody, the more you have compassion for them if they are sorry, if they're hurt, and you want to console them. That's the other part. You are moved to do something. You want to console them. Maybe in deeds, maybe in words, maybe through your prayer, but you want to do something to alleviate that pain. And so Jesus Christ, who is weeping in front of a death of a friend. Jesus Christ weeps in front of the death of our soul every time we separate ourselves from Him. Every time we make choices that bring us death into our life, that harden our hearts, that we drift away more and more and more from His love and His mercy. And so because He's weeping because He sees where we are, a great way to console His heart, to give Him some sort of consolation, say, Lord, I want you, please stop weeping for me, is to do something about it. When St. Augustine comments on this word that Jesus says to Lazarus, Lazarus, come out, untied him and let him free, he said, these are the three main steps that happens when you come to confession, to the sacrament of reconciliation. You know, the first thing, come out. In confession, you need to bring out your sin. You bring them out to the light. You know, from that hidden place deep down that maybe you have them, and you try to pretend they're not there, and you've been burying them, and they've been there for a long time that they stink. Say, no, bring them out. Bring them to the light. And then the priests, in the name of Jesus and the church, gives you the words of absolution. So He unties you from the chains that you've put on yourself. He unties you, and then He lets you go outside and say, you are free. Let Him be free. So a way we can console the heart of Jesus, wherever we are right now, is to go back to the sacrament of reconciliation. Whether you've been last month or you haven't been in 40, 50 years. The greater the suffering, the greater is the compassion that Jesus has for you, and the greater is love He has, and to which He's coming to you, say, you need this. You need to come back to life. So that you can say, I'm alive again, Lord. I've done it, and I'm bringing consolation to you. But you know, like Jesus in accomplishing His mission, we may find obstacles. You don't need that. Everybody does it. It's not such a grave sin. You know, just stay in your room, ask God for forgiveness, and you'll be fine. You know, all these voices, like for Jesus, that were trying to distract Him and put obstacles to accomplishing His mission. He wants to bring life and resurrection in your death. In those places that maybe are hidden, in those places where sin abides. And you know, this is a precious time for us because this week is a penance service week. On Thursday night, we're going to have our penance service. 13 priests, I believe, are going to be here. And like mercy will be open and poured down for the whole church, the whole parish. It's your opportunity to console the heart of Jesus. You seem sad and weeping, and you say, Lord, I don't want to take this time. I just want to come and give you consolation. If you remember the first words of Pope Francis, Jesus is never tired to forgive us. We get tired to go back and ask for forgiveness, but he's never tired to bring forgiveness in our lives. So that's your message and that's your challenge. Make it happen. Don't listen to all those voices that are trying to distract you. Console the heart of Jesus. Bring his mercy into your life. Go to the sacrament of reconciliation and confession this week.